My name is Reph Ojwang. I'm a businessman and I'm a director at Kujenga Tumaini. It's a charity non-profit organization. Yes, this is my wife.
I'm Yasmeen Ojwang. I am a counselor. I do trauma-focused therapy, and I am also a founder and director of Kujenga Tumaini, Kenya. And I am married to Reph. We've been married for a lucky 6 months, and we're very happy to be married. So about 2 years ago, I came to Kenya to do missionary work at a children's home. And it was just so funny because before I left America, everybody kept saying, oh, you're going to come back with a husband. And in my mind, I was just like, whatever. You know, I knew I wasn't coming to Kenya to look for a man. I was coming here to do God's work. And little did I know I was going to fall in love. And so I started to attend Nairobi Lighthouse Church. And Reph was an usher there. And I'll never forget the first day I walked in, he was standing at the door. And I mean, I didn't know anybody at this church. I didn't know who he was, but he caught my eye. And in my mind, I was just like, you know, don't look too hard. This is a church. And I didn't want I was so conscious about how people viewed me as a new person. And, you know, I'm a woman of God. I didn't want to come in this church and then, like, she's trying to scope out our men. So, you know, I left it, and slowly but surely I started to meet people. I started to make friends, and I became a part of a cell group. And if you guys don't know what a cell group is, it's basically small groups that meet to have Bible study and prayer. And I had held on to this for a long time because by this time I had started seeing Reph every single Sunday. And I remember one Sunday he walked me to my seat and I was just looking at him. And I was trying my best, like, Yasmeen, stop looking, stop looking. And he shook my hand and he said, praise the Lord, very firmly. And honestly, in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to marry this man. And that sounds crazy. Because I was also talking to myself like, what is wrong with you? I mean, I didn't know much about him. I didn't even know if he was married. And then, you know, I started to repent. I was like, Jesus, forgive me. I don't even know if this man is married. And I'm telling myself I'm going to marry him. So one Sunday I came and we actually started talking. It was no seats in our church. And I happened to be standing in the back. And Reph was there, you know, looking strong and handsome as he is. And, you know, he was walking people to their seats. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be stuck back here today. I'm on post with him, basically. So we had a mutual friend who was standing, like, in between us. And, of course, I'm very, like, confidential when it comes to my business. And I was just like, you know, but I still don't know too many people in this church. And, you know, she's a trustworthy person. And I had gotten to be friends with her by this point. So I was like, you know, I like somebody. And she didn't know the person I liked was standing next to both of us. And she was like, who? And I kept trying to do eye movement like that. Very horrible communication, nonverbal communication. And so after church, she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I like somebody. I mean, I don't know him, but I just like him. And I told her who it was. And then she was just like, she didn't say much. So a few weeks had gone by, and she finally told me that she knew who he was. And my guess was that she was trying to see if I was serious. Of course, I was this girl that came from America and Kenya. And, you know, they had a friendship. Her and her husband were friends with him. And they knew that he was a serious guy. So I guess they were trying to discern if I was, like, serious.
You know, I've been serving and dedicating myself as an usher at Nairobi Lighthouse Church. So, and I trusted God long time ago that one day I shall marry in church. So Yasmeen came. And when I saw her, I saw beauty. And then, you know, I never talked to her. So I just greeted her, welcomed her. I never knew she was a foreigner. The way my normal church activity, I greeted her, say hi, welcome to Nairobi Lighthouse. So I went and looked at seats and I gave her. So it has been happening that every Sunday now, so I went after several times, asked myself, why am I always having a chance to give her a seat? So I went in prayer. I told God, why is it? So I told God that this Sunday, if we meet again and I give her a seat, that one should be my wife. And then for some few months, again, she came, I gave her a seat. And then that is when now I started developing more interest in her. Suddenly, the cell that she joined, there was an usher lady also who is with her in the same cell. So when she gave me the number after church, later in that evening I went and called her. Is when now I knew it is her. So I told myself, oh my goodness, how comes now this lady is the same lady? Because I knew that maybe she can give me any number for any other girl, just to go for lunch and know each other and know something of the sort. After church, she came where I normally sit, and then she told me, Reph, the church is over, can we go for lunch? So I told her, fine. So we went for lunch, we talked, we knew each other. So that is how we started developing friendship.
And I remember one day talking to my auntie, and my aunt said to me, you know, tell me more about him. Because she was like, you hiding something. And I was like, no, I'm not. She's like, no, every time I call you, you got this smile on your face. Your eyes are all glossy. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, there's this guy. And she was like, what? And she was like, how long you've been hiding this? So one thing she told me on that phone conversation, give love a try. And when she said that to me, I feel like every wall I had or every fear I had of how people would accept Reph in my life just came down. And honestly, I came to a place where I was like, I don't even care. If I love him and I want to be with him, this is just what it's going to be. And from that moment on, I think I called my mom. I called my best friend. And I tell my best friend everything, but I hadn't told her, my sister, anybody. And I called them, and I was just like, listen, this is guy I don't even like him. I think I love him. And for them, that was new because this is the first time they're hearing about this guy. So me just saying I love him and not like him, that's a big deal. You know, they were a little skeptical at first. And they were like, Yasmeen, they call me Yaz sometimes. They was like, Yaz, are you sure? So my best friend was like, I need to meet him. And I was like, okay. So we started doing like FaceTime and just WhatsApp video calls and things like that so they can meet Reph. And when they were meeting him, they were like, oh my God. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Coming to America, but Prince of Zamunda. It's a movie. They kept saying she met Prince of Zamunda. And they were like, well, you know, Reph has a very strong presence and a very strong voice. And when he talks to you, he's not a type, even if he's nervous, he's never going to speak as if he's timid. So when he was speaking to them, they were just like, wow, he's a confident man.
So because she told me one thing, that Reph, for you we go forward, you must get authority from a pastor. So I said, fine. So I called the pastor. I wrote a Facebook inbox to the pastor. Very detailed. Introducing who I am, what am I doing, and what not. So we started communicating with the pastor on her behind. She never knew. Oh, so pastor called me, we talked. And then now, the friends, the other side, organized for her friend to come back to Kenya, to fly in Kenya, and confirm who is this Reph. So they flew back to the US. So we started communicating on WhatsApp, Facebook. We call each other, just like that. So it was a long distance relationship for a period of?
It was for about I went home in May. So we were long distance.
7, 8 months, about 8 months. I knew that she'll be going there for a long period of time. So I said, let me coordinate with the pastor and get her sister. So pastor coordinated with me and the sister. You know, she never knew. But I told her that I will do you some surprise as you go the other side.
She kept telling me that and I didn't understand.
But she never understood anything. So we communicated with the pastor, bought ring, sent the ring to the US.
And I remember that day because, you know, I don't know if Reph can really keep secrets from me because he kept saying, there's a surprise. So, you know, the UPS people came and a package came in my name. So when the package came, my mom My mother said, give me that package.
Mom knew.
And I was saying to her, like, but it has my name on it. So my mom lied to me and said, oh, I didn't want anybody else in the house in my business, so I put the package in your name. Me not thinking anything, believing it. And I was like, oh, okay. But in the back of my mind, I was like, this is very weird. I went to church, and that particular Sunday was usually our youth Sunday, but my pastor like named it, he made it a big deal. He named it the Millennial Sunday. So I started to see friends that I haven't seen for a long time, and they actually go to other churches. So I'm just like, oh, well, and you know, a lot of my friends that don't go to my church love my pastor. So they were like, oh, hi, Yasmeen, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, this is like a reunion. This is lit. And I'm like, okay, everybody's coming to church today because they want to hear Pastor preach to all of the youth and young adults. At one part of our service, the monitors come on, and my pastor states, we have an announcement from Kenya. Me, I'm thinking, oh, some of the ministries that he has coordinated with wants to greet the church so they can see like who he's going to be serving. Long behold, Reph comes on the screen. Yeah. Honestly, I was crying, but then I was laughing because laughing is like my go-to. I love to laugh, whether I'm happy or sad. And I was so full of so many emotions. But I know, like, one emotion, it was just like, wow, this is happening. And my pastor was really there to present me with the ring because Reph could not get to America in time. And, you know, in that moment, I was screaming so much. I hadn't said yes yet. And, you know, Reph is on the phone looking at me. I didn't say yes yet. And I just kept saying, oh, my God. And at that time.
Now she said yes
my pastor,
to me in the video and then say yes.
Yes, to the church.
To the church. Say yes to the pastor. And then the pastor gave
me the ring.
And how we did our engagement.
And at that point, I really started crying. When this ring went on my finger, I think all of the other emotions just consumed me and they became big old tears. And I was like, wow, this is real. I was really in a cloud for a few weeks, literally in a cloud. And I mean, because you have people at church saying, oh my God, I told you so. I told you we weren't going to come back single. I was like, oh my God. But then again, that video had went so viral. I had people sending me messages. I was just like, wow, I'm in a cloud. I was at work just looking at my ring. I couldn't even focus. It was crazy.
From then we communicated more with the sister, with whatnot. So it was coming to the after planning out the wedding. Now she's in the US. I am in Kenya.
I was in America planning a wedding without my fiance. And everything, you know, again, so back to that long distance relationship. I really thank God for technology because we had like so many apps where we can constantly be in touch. So it helped you know, it really, really helped. And it wasn't a day that went by that we weren't communicating. And it felt so good that our hearts were connected. And we were not going days without talking. You know, we always were up to date with each other and what was going on. So when the wedding started, you know, I went through so many waves of emotions and decision making concerning our wedding. Because at first, we wanted to get married, have two weddings. We wanted to get married in America and then get married in Kenya. But then we were like, first of all, that's a lot of money, to be honest. And we can use that money elsewhere because we want to do some projects in Kenya. So whatever we were going to do with the money to have both weddings in Kenya, we could just use that money to do our projects and then just have one wedding. And then I always dreamt of an African wedding. Again, the Coming to America movement had me like amazed with just African culture. And that wasn't even real African culture. It was just like an imitation of African culture. But I've always wanted an African wedding. So we actually came to a conclusion and we decided where we were going to have it at. And we decided that we would have it in America. And I've always loved purples and pinks. Actually, purple and pink is my favorite color. So I said it has to have that in it. So we decided, you know, on what we wanted the groomsmen to wear and the bridesmaids. And of course, that was African attire for the bridesmaids. And it was just beautiful. So that whole process was actually amazing.
When you flew outside the country, I flew for Thanksgiving, October 2017. So that is when I came, I met, November. I met the whole family now because they had come here. So I had to go also meet all of them. After that, I flew back to Kenya, but we are also planning the wedding.
Hustling.
Yeah, hustling here. No, the one hustling in America, it's
Not that type of hustling.
yeah, so we were just looking for money here and there, paying bills, all sort of things. So I flew back. I had to fly back again in America now for the wedding in 2018. You know, when I was thinking about marriage and the wedding, I used to see people in Kenya here hustling for wedding. Arambe and whatnot. But what I told God that I don't want a wedding with Arambe. I don't want a committee. I don't want people to sit somewhere discussing on the way forward of plans. I say that, God, if you're giving me a wedding, you must put me in a level that we can pay our wedding. So it has been in my heart for a very long period of time. So it has been a small savings here and there. So we did all that. So wedding in America is very, very expensive. If you want to do it the way we did it, it is very, very expensive.
And
because
this is where, let me just interrupt you for a moment. This is where I contemplated whether we were going to go to the courthouse to get married or actually have our wedding. Honestly, we were like, we were literally almost at our wedding time. And I kept saying, Reph, you sure you just don't want to? And I've always wanted a big wedding, and I was trying to take that away from myself because I was so stressed. But we were so adamant about not taking out loans for a wedding. We just didn't want to start our life like that. And it was just a discussion that we had to constantly have because I was like, Reph, you sure? Let's just go. It's just us anyway. It's not going to be all these people.
Do, garden wedding.
Yeah.
No. Whatever you had decided, that is what we put before God. We have tested God.
It was just beautiful. And that day, I just will never forget it. Just like I'll never forget my engagement day. I think my wedding day was the second best day of my life. And it was just so much fullness of joy. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I'm really marrying somebody I really love. Like, you know, it's nothing forced. It's nothing, you know, rehearsed. This is not a rehearsed love. This is a real, true love that was built on God. And it was the best day of my life, honestly. It was beautiful.
So after the wedding, we went for honeymoon. Very good hotel. And then I told my wife that, you know, people think that if you marry, you must live in America. It's not like, this thing is a vision, this thing is a dream. If you cannot make money in Kenya, you cannot make money in America.
Very true.
So I told my wife, we shall go back to Kenya.
I knew that I was going to be here again. I already loved Kenya. So it wasn't as if, it was just because of Reph. I knew that God was bringing me back to Kenya. And it just worked so beautifully because I met my husband, and my husband was a Kenyan. So it was easy for me to say that we're moving to Kenya and to agree to that because it was already in my heart and my spirit. So it wasn't like a fight. Of course you go through being homesick, but this was a new life and this is something I knew.
One thing that I want to add was the day we were leaving to coming to Kenya, the mother, the auntie, the grandmother, all of them, they were like, really? You're traveling back to Africa, to Kenya?
It dawned on them that
it dawned on them at the airport. There were tears. Tears of joy and tears of like, will you gonna make it in Africa? And I told them, God is with us. When God is with us, we shall make it. The God who has brought us this far is a God who will be with us back in Africa. So they prayed for us at the airport. So we left to Kenya. And here we are, 6 months strong, healthy, and we thank God. And all our projects are going greater and greater and greater. I got into this marriage with an open heart. I got into the marriage with not expecting a lot. Because for me to expect a lot from her, I must change myself. So those are the long years of prayer of who a good husband I wanted to be. Because I wanted to be, if my father had a good life in marriage, I wanted to uplift it slightly higher, the standard. So when we come, you know, you must speak English automatically. That is the only communication we had. But also I had to teach her Swahili. So, you know, it takes a period of time. And then I also need to teach her what we cook here. So I taught her Kenyan food. So we blended American food, Kenyan food, American food, Kenyan food. Until now, she knew how to cook the type of food that I want.
And for me, first of all, let me say this. Marriage is beautiful, but marriage will stretch you. And it's a beautiful stretching. You learn so much about yourself that maybe you didn't know before. And I'm pretty self-aware of who I am. I know what I want. And when I know what I want, I go for it. But in marriage, you just have to learn to be so open to the other person. I think in the forefront of my mind when I got married, I was just like, oh, I used to hear all these crazy stories about when you go home to Kenya or when you go to Africa, they're going to take you to the village by yourself and you're going to have to cook for the whole village. And if you can't cook for the whole village, then they're not going to like you. And then, we knew each other. I knew his family. I knew that wasn't true. But when people tell you that type of stuff, it sticks in your brain. We had to make our own culture in our marriage. And that was very important to us. Like, we know that in your culture and your tribe, you guys do things like this.
Culture side
and
blend and build a new culture.
And I love that. We built a new culture for ourselves. So we said, we're not going to put a demand on this has to be the day we eat Kenyan food. But we made it very important in our relationship that we would just cook together. So you find that there's days that we're just looking at recipes online and we're like, oh, let's make that today. Let's make that. And it's not necessarily Kenyan, it's not necessarily American, it's a mix of both. And we find ourselves saying, wow, we made a really good meal. We can make this for our family. And it's been beautiful. So now if we do have visitors, it's like, let's make that thing we made last week. So now we can share that with our family or our friends. To sum up, what has marriage been like? It's been a learning of a new grace. It's been a learning of new habits and just a stretching. But it's just been such a beautiful journey. And we're both communicators. And I used to always say, God, give me a man that will talk and not shut down. So even if we quarrel or have an issue with each other, it's like, we're going to talk about this right now. Because we always promise to each other, like, we're never going to be angry with each other.
How I speak and how she speaks is totally different. So I must speak on how she can well understand. And she must also speak on what I understand.
This is what I've learned to do. If Reph says something to me, because I know his heart is pure, I know it's not vindictive and I know it's not out to hurt me. So it's just adjusting to that and learning. We grew up two very different lifestyles, two very different cultures. So it's been a meshing and mixing of the cultures. And that's a learning experience in and of itself.
My sweet wife, it has taken us time. And the many more years that I've seeked the Lord, God truly answers prayers. Because you are the dream that I had. You are the vision that I had, because I was born a man of big dreams, thinking big things that without money. But when I met you, my big think and dreams are coming true. So I thank God so much. Since I met you, I knew very well that you are my answered prayer. So may God bless you.
Oh, you cute.
May God encourage us together. And may God bless us with beautiful children.
Amen.
So that we shall have an excellent family and be an example to the society.
Yeah.
That distance relationship is a matter of commitment to each other, learning each other, and communicate clearly on each other. So I love you so much. Thank you for saying yes to me. Thank you for accepting me to be your husband. I will take care of you. With the Lord's guidance and counsel, I'll do the best that I can. May God bless us together. I love you, Yasmeen Ojwang. Welcome to my heart once more.
My ever so gentle husband, I love you so much. And I know I always tell you this, but you're the best thing outside of God that has happened to me. And I just appreciate that you love me for me and that I don't have to be anybody else but Yasmeen. And I love that you are such a great caretaker. Like, you really care about what I want, what I desire, and you care about my dreams. And you invest in those dreams. And that's important to me. And I look forward to keep waking up to you every single morning and raising our little babies together and just building a legacy for our children together.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
Love you too.
He would have got it correct if he would have remembered.
It's okay.
Unbelievable.
No. Lightning and thunder is that. Huh? Lightning and thunder. If she sees that light and then boom, 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 boom. That
true.
one, Yasmeen will freak.
I will hide it. Advice for those who are looking to get married, who wants to get married. First and foremost, you should do a lot of self-introspection and really learn you, but also be guided by God. It's so easy. I always tell Reph, as women, we're emotional beings. So some things we look at an emotional with an emotional eyesight, but men, they're more practical and they look at logic. It's very important to have God before you, because when God is before you, all of that is eliminated. And what he wants you to do in regards to marriage and relationships, he will guide you. So it's very important to be guided by God and to be self-aware.
Yeah, to me, patience. The Bible says that you will wait, but it shall show up. So now people who meet me, now they don't meet me with a Kenyan gun. Does not mean that a Kenyan gun is not bad, but they meet me with, so they can figure it out that Reph had to wait all these years for the wife to fly in Kenya, and you get married. You get the point. So let's wait in the Lord, believe in the Lord, and pray to the Lord. And then when you get into the marriage, you open up. And then don't go into the marriage with expectation. There's nothing I expect from Yasmeen, because God is in her, God is in me. But if we go in a marriage like you expect this from your wife, you expect this from your husband, there'll be a conflict, because after so many months and years, that thing that you thought you will get, you won't get, and you'll be disappointed. So people should go into marriage with an open heart, because she's a human being, I am a human being. We shall move together as we sharpen each other going forward.
You got wisdom.
Thank you so much. God bless you.